Saturation, the summer's fair, connected so. This be the year, perfect vision, fading in the pools of a backlit sun. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a fine edition of the Sunday Spin. My name is Greno. I want to thank our fine sponsors, What's Left Records here in Colorado Springs and Grooves Records in San Francisco, California. If you get a chance, if you're in the area of either record store, go and check them out and support small business each and every day. Vinny, my right-hand man, as always, looking good.
Thank you, brother.
JETS there. And how are you today, my friend?
I'm fabulous. And actually, in Frank's honor, this is an Eagles jersey. It does look like a Jets jersey.
Oh, my God. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah. But, our guest being a Pennsylvanian, I grabbed the Poly jersey, threw it on.
Perfect.
Got the hat. And yes, we're thrilled because our guest tonight is the wonderful Mr. Frank Sesich. He's a rock legend, wonderful man. Most importantly, he's great friends of ours. We love his music. Frank, how are you this afternoon? Welcome to the Spin.
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Couldn't be happier to see you, buddy. You look terrific.
Yes.
I'm getting there. Like I said, I've lost about 17 pounds since Christmas, so I'm real proud of that and getting into shape to go out and play again.
Yeah. We're excited to hear all about that, and it's just great to see you again, Frank. Thanks for coming back on the Spin, and we're just excited to. There's a lot going on with you. It's hard.
A lot of stuff happening. So
exciting things too in the rock and roll world. So we can break that down for folks. Absolutely, got a lot of folks listening and watching from all over the world. So thank you guys. We really appreciate that very much, and so does Frank. So Frank, it's hard to know even where to start because I know last time we covered a lot of the history of what you do, of what you've done for 5-6 decades now. So if you want, though, for those that maybe missed the first show, maybe talk a little bit about some of the origins, of your rock and roll history there in Ohio and some of the things that, people maybe would really like to hear about.
Sure. I started playing professionally in about 1966, and then formed my first really good band was Blue Ash. And in 1969 and 79, we were together for 10 years, and I had 2 albums out one on Mercury Records, No More No Less, in 1973, one on Playboy in 1977. And we were signed to Mercury by Paul Nelson, who signed the New York Dolls at the same time. So that was a lot of fun, and that was a really good time. We toured everywhere. We were playing, 250, 300 days a year. In 1979, when Blue Ash fizzled out, I hooked up with my old friend Stiv Bators, who was just winding it down with the Dead Boys and did all his solo stuff on Bump Records, the Disconnected album, and the 3 singles on Bump. It's Cold Outside, Not That Way Anymore, and Too Much to Dream. After that, in 1981, I was at Stiv for 2 years, played in a band called Club Wow with Jimmy Zero from the Dead Boys and Billy Sullivan, who was an Ohio legend, and Jeff West, who played in the Waldos and Testers and other bands. And we were together for about 3 years, made all kind of recordings, but never really got a label, just didn't have good luck with it. So we kind of fizzled out. And that just came out on 0 Hour Records of Australia, a DVD of that, and all the recordings we made. So that's pretty cool. I then after that managed a band called The Infidels, who were a great power pop band and had a bunch of albums out. And in 1990, I just quit the music business. Didn't do anything else for 13 years. Never even picked up a guitar. Then I started writing songs again and got a new band together, Deadbeat Poets, in 2005. And we've had 8 albums out and all over the world. And we've toured Europe 3 times and great band. And we have Blue Ash back together again with Jim Kenzer and myself and the Deadbeat Poets backing it. And right now, bring you up to speed, we're recording a Blue Ash album, the first one in 45 years, new stuff. But we have 8 songs done, and we're going to record another 4 or 6. And I think it's the best work I've ever done. And that brings me up to about now. And so I wrote a book also in 2015, and I tour around with that, do solo shows, acoustic shows, and tour with a band called the Ghetto Blasters from Tennessee, and do tours with that. I get up and do 3 or 4 electric songs with them, and then do an acoustic set before that. So haven't done anything since 2019 when the COVID hit, but I'm going to do my first new gig again in Sandusky at Strum Around on June 3rd, Bike Week there, and so let's get everything rolling again. Blue Ash on the road, Deadbeat Poets, and got a new album out too. So so that's where you are right now. That's not bad for 50 years, huh? Kind of sized it up.
It's astounding. It's incredible, Frank. Seriously, like, and for you to sum it all up so succinctly, that's a history. I mean, there's a lot of details in there, and so many memories. And yeah, let's definitely let people know about the circumstantial evidence book that you guys can get. Also, follow Frank online. You know, Frank's on what, Facebook, Frank?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Just my name, Sesich, S-E-C-I-C-H. And yeah, I'm on all those things. There's Blue Ash sites and Deadbeat Poets sites on Facebook too. So a lot of information. Also on Reverb Nation, there's about 50 free Deadbeat Poets songs and 50 free Blue Ash songs too. So we're all over the place, everywhere. You can listen for free. Blue Ash Records are all over the world, still using and older things. So yeah, and it's available, second pressing already, because it's sold out. First one, it's still a few left, but the second pressings are through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, in every country in the world you can find it. Get Hip still has some of the original pressings and autographed ones with all the color pictures in too. And it's the best-selling book that Get Hip has ever had, rock and roll book. So that's kind of cool. In 6 years, Greg told me that, and it still sells very well all the time there. So order from Get Hip, you get a cool one, and they're a great distributor. Tons of vinyl there and everything. Get Hip Records in Pittsburgh. So.
Excellent. Wow.
That's where you can get the things.
Fabulous plug there. And Frank, yeah, one of the things that's great about what you do online is you always let people know what is going on. You know, there's been new finds recently with, I know, some Blue Ash footage and other things like that. And it's great because it creates a lot of excitement for folks. And I know, especially on the Blue Ash Facebook site, there's a lot of dedicated folks on there. So it's it's
we got a lot of fans everywhere. And what happened was I stumbled across these old Super 8 movies and everything that had been missing for like 15 years. No one knew where they were at. And Darla Bartlin, who was our guitar player in Blue Ash, she passed away in 2009. She had the stuff there when I went to her house. I couldn't believe it. So I put a few things up on Facebook, but there's some choice stuff, us in England and Canada and everything. I'll be putting that all together. Jim Kenzer, the lead singer of Blue Ash, and I have been rehearsing because we got to do another 4 songs to complete the album. But we started telling stories the other day, and we just started writing them down. There's so many fun stuff. So I think we're going to write a book together about just the Blue Ash stories on the road. There's so many funny things I had forgotten about. So we're going to maybe get David Evans, too, our original drummer, and get the 3 of us together and just start telling these stories. And with all these pictures and videos I found, it would make a pretty nice book. So I'm going to call George in Australia and see if he's interested in that at High Voltage, because I think it'll be a good one. Hey, George. Nothing like throwing that on you. But it would be a good seller because the stories are just so funny, you know?
Absolutely. And it's stuff that people want to hear, you know. It's tremendous. What a vastly underrated band, Frank, Blue Ash. Honestly, I mean, you guys have done your time, but that first record, I mean, had it been played in certain places, this country, I mean, it would have been a completely different conversation. You guys really did your thing, and wonderful. I want to hold on and bring out this, since we're talking Blue Ash, first edition of the first album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So No More, No Less. And there's our buddy Frank and his pals. I'm always curious why is he called Cupid?
He would never tell us. We would always say, "Where did you get that name?" He goes, "I'm never telling." Yeah, and we would try, and we were like best friends with him. He'd never tell us how he got the name. You know,
love it. Mystery. Rock and roll mythology.
Yeah, it was just a myth, and we could never find out. I wish we did know that. But he was a great guitar player. We had our first guitar player lasted like a year, and Cupid's Aunt Mary and my mother were like best friends, and we knew Cupid and everything. And we were trying out guitars and everything. Nothing was working, and we had a deadline because we had to play again October 3rd, 1970. And my mother walks in the room, and the three of us are in there. And we're all downhearted and everything because we couldn't think of who to get or anything. And she goes, "Why don't you call Cupid?" And I went, "Oh, I never even thought about it," because he had gone to California and he had come back to States. He was just out of our radar. So I grabbed the phone and I called him and I said, "Cupid," I said, "this is Frank," and interrupted me in mid-name. I was going to say my last name. He goes, "I've been sitting by the telephone for a week waiting for this call." He goes, "I accept."
Oh, that's great.
So that's how we got him in the band. And after we got him in the band, he was such a great songwriter and everything. We just took off, and we were playing like crazy everywhere, all over Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New York State. And we got really, really good, started writing the songs. And in 1972, we started making demos. Sent at Peppermint Productions in Youngstown. They signed us to a production contract. And the first ones we sent out had Abracadabra, Have You Seen Her? I Remember a Time, a few other ones. And we had 4 labels interested in us, which blew our minds, So Mercury, Polydor, MGM, and Metro Media at the time. So Paul Nelson from Mercury Records flew down and loved us. He said, "I think you're one of the best bands in America, and signed us up because I'm going to sign you to Mercury." So that was pretty cool. That was in 1972.
Yeah, and a very cool label at the time too.
Oh yeah, because they had Rod Stewart and all those people, Ryan Heath, ETO, the New York Dolls. It was a great label.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, Frank, I want to congratulate you so much on the success of the book. And it's
thanks so much.
Yeah, great read. But one thing I want to add is how accessible you are to people and how gracious you are.
Yeah.
And I see it every day in social media, like Glenn attributed to you, like to share, and you have a thirsty world for that. But you're also very gracious with everyone who gives you credit for what you do. And it's a lost art. And it's one of the things that really impresses me, Frank.
But Vince, I've always enjoyed doing this. Except when I quit for 13 years, I had a young son and everything, and I didn't want to be on the road anymore. So he was 3 years old. So I waited till, he got out of high school and into college. And then, I just picked up the guitar and started writing again. I actually wrote the Stiv Bators Ghost Tour, and I picked up my old 13-year-old Gibson 1966 guitar. I had 13-year-old strings on it, and I played this riff. And I thought, oh man, I said, that's a cool riff. I said, shit, now I've got to write this song. So they pulled me back in. So I wrote the song, and I wrote the Stiv Bators Ghost Tour. And it was like I just wanted to write a funny, rollicking song about him. I didn't want to write anything that was sentimental or cloying or anything like that. And it came out really, really good. And I wrote a couple more, and I had friends that had recording studios. I said, do you mind if I come in here and just put down acoustic demos? I just want to hear what they sound like. And I did that. And then we made a couple with the whole band. I got Pete Revere and John Corey, the drummer from the Deadbeat Poets. Pete was the lead guitarist and had a studio. So we did a couple demos, and I got Terry Hartman, who was a legend in the Cleveland, and no one knew him, one of the best songwriters ever. And I said, Terry, you want to do a band? He goes, sure. He goes, I got some songs. I said, great. So we did a couple demos. And the only people I knew, because I hadn't been even talked to anybody in the business, were Bomp people, Susie Shaw and Patrick out there, Bossell. So I sent them out there, and Patrick, he goes, I love this stuff. He goes, but he goes, we can't really use it at our label. It's not stuff we don't do. He said, but I know this label in Japan, Vivid Sound Records, they'd go crazy for it. So he gave me the lady's email address. I sent her like 4 songs, and a half an hour later, she offered me a recording contract. So we had enough money to do the album then, and it was out in Japan first, and then we found Mark Hirschberger was going to start his new label, Pop Detective Records, which is a great label. And we were the first ones on that too, and did all of our albums on Pop Detective. So Mark put them out here, and we were on different labels overseas and everything, Spain and everything. But that's how it all started. It just snowballed. And all that time trying to get signed, you don't get anything. And I send a demo tape, and 12 hours later, I get money offered to me to have a recording contract. So I really owe the guys at Bomp a lot for that. So that's cool.
Sure. And Frank, I love that you mentioned Mark, who, he and his partner do a show very similar to ours.
Oh yeah, those guys are great.
In New Jersey, and it's tremendous. And I want to shout out to those guys.
Yeah, David Bash and Mark Hirschberger, great program. I did their show a little while ago too, a few minutes ago. I had a lot of fun on it.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Those guys are great.
Yeah, great guys. And yeah, Mark's in New Jersey. And
yeah.
Real quick, Frank, speaking of New Jersey, I'm going to bring this up. The Uncle Floyd show.
Okay.
Could you tell us the Uncle Floyd story? Because I'm from New Jersey and I'm a big fan of the man.
I'll tell you a few things you don't even know about that. I found a lot more out. On June 21st, 1980, we did the Uncle Floyd show, and it was the Stiv Bators band with Jimmy Zero in it, too. And we were touring at that time. Me, David Quentin, George Cabinet, Stiv, and Jimmy. And for the show, I played the guitar parts because I played them on a record like that with Eddie Best, but Jimmy played bass. So we did the Uncle Floyd show. It's cold outside, not that way anymore. And we actually recorded 5 or 6 songs for that, and I didn't remember that. And then we came back when the Disconnected album came out in December, and we did the show again. We had Brian James with us on that tour, but he didn't do the show for some reason. And it was me on bass, George Cabinets again, David Quentin Steinberg, and Stiv, the Disconnected band. And we did the last year, I think, I Want to Forget You Just the Way You Are, and Too Much to Dream. But nobody's ever seen those tapes. Now, the Uncle Floyd tapes circulate everywhere, but they're a really bad quality, but they're kind of cool. Because every time it comes on the internet, he shuts it off, because he doesn't like anybody using his stuff. They get injunctions for it or complain about it. But every month or so, it pops back up again. But they were really cool stuff, and David's playing on the stool. The great thing about the Uncle Floyd show is John Lennon, David Bowie, and Paul Simon used to watch that show every day. It had a huge cult following. They were big fans. David Bowie even wrote the song about it. The famous song about the Uncle Floyd show. But amazing, the people that would see you playing on there, Truly. Yeah. And it was, and we did a lot of cable shows like that. And there's still tapes floating around with interviews from us and everything. But there's still a lot of good stuff that has to surface yet. So.
And it's all pure gold if you're lucky enough to find it.
Oh, yeah.
If you have that thirst, right.
And that show was a hoot because it was all live, and it was just like, geez,
Absolutely.
I mean, we lip sync and everything.
But on Joe Franklin.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I live in Sharon, Pennsylvania, which is right on the Ohio line, and there's a lot of hills here. You can never get good television reception, so they actually built cable TV in the late 60s and early 70s for Pennsylvania because of the mountains. Adelphia is actually located up in Emporium, PA, and we did a TV show there in like 1971, Blue Ash, and I'd love to see that again. But anyway, when we first got the cable, we never had all night TV or thing, and they had Channel 9 from New York, and they'd had the Rangers and Islanders hockey game, and Joe Franklin, of course,
Right.
So I mean, that was amazing. So you had one channel that was on all night, and we were just, honest to God, just glued to the TV to watch all that because it was so unique. Now it's nothing, but the Joe Franklin show in the middle of the night was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow.
That's awesome.
So Frank, how do you feel about playing a song for us this afternoon?
Sure. What do you want to hear? Yeah, I'll do a little bit. How about last year, Billy Joe Armstrong recorded mine and Stiff's song "Not That Way Anymore." He did an album called No Fun Mondays and was putting out a video every week, and to do something while people were locked down. And then a year ago, Christmas, he put the album out, and it was all over the world on Warner Brothers and everything. There's a video out and everything, but I'll do that. I do it in my acoustic set, so I don't know how this is going to sound, so we'll just do the best I can with it.
All right.
Not That Way Anymore.
Right.
I used to be so good to you, always told everyone you talk to. And I was so possessed that I held on so tight till I lost you. I made you cry so many times, and I was going out of my mind. But baby, I'm not that way anymore. Now I'm thinking around the time now. Maybe I did all to it, saying it was all my fault. Now really sad to annoy me. I made you cry so many times that I was going out of my mind. But baby, I'm not that way anymore. Can't you see? I'm not that way anymore. Can't you see? I'm not that way anymore. You know it's too late today. Everything I will be that long. I made you cry so many times that I was going out of my mind. So baby, I'm not that way anymore. Can't you see? I'm not that way anymore. Can't you see? I'm not that way anymore. You know it's too late today. But there's still time. 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 There's still time.
Frank Sesich live on the Sunday Spin. Frank, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely.
I like to do the spontaneous stuff. I was telling you guys before, I always like doing the record stores and book signings at bookstores. When I go out on tour, do those in the afternoon. Just take an acoustic guitar and sing 5-6 songs like that. No microphones, nothing. Just all old school. 12-string covers a lot of noise, so it makes a lot of noise for one person.
Oh, that's great. It's fantastic.
Frank,
Frank, there's a lot of friends of the show and people that watch that really admire Stiv and your work with him. And if you could just take a second, give us like a bird's eye view. You guys collaborated a lot. So I'm sure there was a lot of different scenarios as far as who wrote what part and everything, but just, it's so interesting to, you guys wrote timeless songs, and it's great to discuss that and to talk about that. His memory lives on, obviously, through music. and it's a wonderful thing. And so, yeah, if you just want to take a second and give us a bird's eye view of just like, you know.
Sure. We started writing songs together in 1978 around Thanksgiving. He came home in November, and he came with Cynthia Ross from the Bee-Girls, was his girlfriend then, and great girl. I love Cynthia, and we're still real good friends to this day. But Cynthia and Stib came over to our apartment. Lisa and I had an apartment in Sharon on the West Hill, about 50 feet from the Ohio border. And I just brought out my Rickenbacker, started playing, and he had an idea for a song the last year, and he had the that part. Yeah, so I saw what's wrong with it. So he and I both wrote the verses. He wrote a lot of the lyrics on it, and I wrote the middle part, the bridge there, and half the chorus. So that was about a 50-50 collaboration. And then we went to recorded it After Dark Studios in Parma, Ohio, Cleveland suburb, and it was Blitz on the drums and Jimmy Zero, me, and I played bass. Jimmy played guitars and Stib singing, and we did "It's Cold Outside and Not That Way Anymore." And we also did a song, the "It's All Right," the old Adam Faith song. And it came out years later on a single, you know, on Wayne Kramer's label. And we did it that night, and that had Jimmy singing lead on that one. Well, anyway, Stib took the demos with Cynthia to California because Cynthia was on Bomb Records, and Greg heard it and loved it. And Stib didn't tell him who was he on the record. He goes, "You know who that is playing on the record?" He goes, "Yeah, it's Frank Sessage." I could tell his voice because he was a big Blue Ash fan. So that's how we got started with Bomb and that. Anyway, that's how we wrote that one. A lot of them we did different ways. Not That Way Anymore and Circumstantial Evidence were basically my songs, and Stib would add some lyrics. I Want to Forget You Just the Way You Are, I had the melody, and he had all the lyrics, so he put all the lyrics in that. But I had the title, that was my title. So we did it in a bunch of different ways. Ready Anytime was my melody, but he did all the lyrics. And he would do some instrumental parts too, because he could play guitar pretty decently. Million Miles Away, that was my song. That was an old Blue Ash song that I brought with me. So basically, it was 50-50, and a lot of times he was more lyric heavy, and I would be more the musical, you know, guy.
Thanks for sharing that. That means so much. Yeah, thanks. And what a sharp memory, man. You could rattle off all these facts. Really incredible.
Oh yeah, I have a good memory about everything I liked doing. I can't remember shit about algebra or French from school, but
doesn't matter. You're remembering what's important, right?
Yeah,
and that says it all, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, Frank, I wanted to ask you real quick the book writing process, because, you know, I've read a lot, obviously, of autobiographies, and yours takes the cake. And the reason I like it so much is I really feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
And you really can't say that about too many autobiographies, can you, Glenn?
It's true. No, it takes you right into these moments, these times that, you know, just like he was talking about the Blue Ash memories that he has, you know, with Jim and the things that they're going to pull, you know, together for this upcoming book. I mean, yeah, there's just so many great stories and things to draw upon. Fantastic photography too. Yes. Like we see our boy Frank with hanging out with, you know, Belushi and people like that in the book. It's incredible.
The great thing I got it hand to people. I had so many good photographer friends that got to know that I was a lucky guy in that way. Teresa Kariakis, who did the back cover and a lot of the pictures in the book, and she's just fantastic. By the way, she's just been commissioned to do a book with all her pictures from the Stib solo era, and it's going to come out, and I'm going to write some captions, and so is David Quentin on them. So that ought to be out in the next year or so. So that's going to be fantastic because she's an amazing artist. Donna Santisi, she did the It's Cold Outside cover, and that was picked by Goldmine Magazine as one of the 10 best picture sleeves of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
And
It's a classic.
When I met Marianne Faithfull, I met her at a radio station, and we were in there doing an interview. She came in after us, and she was always one of my favorites, you know. And I couldn't believe she walked in the studio, and she's talking to one Merle from Bump, and he's showing her the picture sleeve, and she walks up to me, and she goes, as I come out of the booth, and I've never met her. She goes, "What a great picture sleeve cover." She goes, "I've always thought that the artwork was just as important as the music." And then she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Marianne." She introduces us. I'm like, "Oh," you know.
As if you didn't know, right?
And she's drop dead gorgeous in person too. That's like the broken English time, you know. That
Sure.
but it was just so crazy when you did that. But the Blue Ash photography was David Garr, who did, you know, all the blues greats and John Lennon and Bob Dylan albums and stuff like that. That we just got to know so many great people. The Not That Way Anymore was Mick Rock. A cover that he did, that iconic cover on it with just me and Stiv's head there, and we were at a party in New York, and we were all dressed up in the Teddy Boy cuts and everything. And Stiv goes, "Hey Mick," he goes, "we're having a new 45 coming out. We'll need some pictures for the thing." He goes, "All right, Jesus Christ!" And he leaves, and we didn't mean right then. He comes back with the camera, and he's really, really drunk at this party, and a stepladder. And he's teetering on a stepladder over us. And he goes, "Click, click, click, click." He goes, "Okay." And Stiv goes, "We didn't really need it right now." He goes, "But the photos," he goes, "but when we do it, we usually take hundreds of pictures." He goes, "Yeah, there's no need." He goes, "Wait till you see the fourth last one I took on that set." And so we think, okay, so I have the negatives, and I just posted them a couple months ago, and they're all kind of out of focus, and we're not in there. And the one good one that he called was the one that he did, you know, the last one. And he's completely hammered out of his mind drunk. The guy was a genius, you know, really, you know. And he didn't even charge us for it. He just gave us the pictures. A completely great guy, you know.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Great stuff here on the Sunday Spin with Mr. Frank Sesich. Yeah, this is Frank. It's been an honor, man, to hang out with you. And we want to let people know you have some shows coming up, or is it one show or? Yeah,
just one show now. I just booked that the other night, and it's at Strum Around in Sandusky, Ohio, which is a resort town, and it's where Cedar Point is. And that week's bike week starts, so there's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be streamed worldwide too, so it's a kind of a really cool record bookstore that has a stage and it's set up for concerts too, and it holds like 200 people. So it's going to be a nice intimate thing, and I'll tell stories just like this and play and sign books and records and hang out, and it'll be a lot of fun. Bringing my wife Lisa with me too. She hasn't been anywhere for a while. So we'll have a good time. I took her and my son to England on my last tour there in 2019. We had a blast. So doing the same kind of stuff, just doing the acoustic things and hanging out, signing books and records. So
you said June 3rd?
June 3rd. Yeah.
Perfect.
It'll be about 8:30 in the evening, and it's going to be streamed worldwide. So
yeah, we'll be watching, right, Vinny?
Okay, cool.
You know we will. You know we will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By the way, you guys, the Skinny Mulligans is on my top 40 here in my car. I play that all the time.
Thank you, sir. That means
what an honor. And on that note, Frank, thank you for spreading the word and telling all the people, because I mean, who better to get the thumbs up from? Not only a person we love and admire, but a legend, right?
Yeah, so, I don't know about the legend, but
appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun. You guys did some great work, you know. And I love 1966. It was one of my favorite years.
That's great.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. We weren't here, but yeah, it was one of our favorite years too.
It's a musically renowned year too, though. You know,
great times.
Yeah, so many great records came out during that year and everything.
So many good guitars were made that year too. Gibsons and Rickenbackers. Oh my God, Fenders. A new Fender Telecaster would only cost you, I think it was like $155. The Maple, a Strat was like $195. A Mustang was $135. An Epiphone casino like the Beatles had, they were real expensive. They were like $330, which was outrageous in 1966. That was my first good guitar. And I got a cherry red one of that, and that was fantastic. But that's how much that's why I'm having so much fun with this deluxe reverb back here. So
Well, sure.
as soon as I plugged it in, I told my wife, I said, this is what I used to sound like in my bedroom when I was 15. She's laughing in the other room.
Terrific.
You ought to come here and say hi, Lisa, before
yeah,
they.
yeah, bring her out.
Yeah,
Lisa's
your
been
parents
a friend
on
of
the
mine for a long time. Yeah.
We'd appreciate that. Excellent.
Hey.
Here's Lisa. She got us all set up with the.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi,
She
Lisa.
got us all set up with the communications here. I'm not a phone guy or a computer guy at all, so she figured this all out on my end. I could have screwed it up royally, but she did well.
Lisa,
Oh, I don't know
Lisa,
about
it's
that.
great to see you.
It's great to see you
Lisa and I,
too. It's an
yeah,
honor.
we both being dog lovers used to like to post pictures of our dogs, and I would
Oh,
always
yeah.
post
Yeah.
about my dogs and right back at her with Tucker. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was telling how we got Tucker.
Yeah, they're the best. I mean, they are the greatest souls. He's my shadow. He follows me everywhere, and
He's 12 and a half years old now, and we got him when he was 1. So I got falling over.
can I knock something over?
Well, Lisa just knocked my guitar case over. Luckily, it's not in there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Tucker causing a rock and roll ruckus over there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here he is now too. He's here too.
Great.
He has to always be part of everything. He loves music though. I sit in here and I'll rehearse my sets and everything.
Yeah.
He'll lay right down in this room and just won't stop. He loves it. Or if I blast music, the louder the better. He loves it. I think he likes the vibes from it. So I'll have all these playing all these wild records, and he's just in here immediately.
It soothes his soul.
Yeah, Susan's wild soul, huh?
Definitely.
Great.
Oh man, great stuff on the spin, huh, Vinny?
absolutely. And Lisa, I really want to thank you for your friendship and also for taking care of the big guy so well for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you both
Oh.
mean a whole lot to us. And
Oh,
we're
that's so
grateful
sweet
to
of you.
both.
Yeah,
We
she's
really
the
are.
best. Her and my son Jake have
thank
me
you
on
so much.
diets and all this stuff and watch everything I do.
Yeah.
I used to get pissed off about it, but not anymore. They're doing a good job.
Well, Frank,
I
I mean, I
from
never get mad, but I want to eat that thing. I want to have a steak or something. But now
Yeah.
they're doing good.
He used to say, I'm not going to make it to 70 years ago. And I said, see, I said,
See,
got to keep you
right
around a
now
long
you say
time.
let it hit 150, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a whoa.
Tucker just knocked the tripod over. So there he goes. He wants to be part of this.
So we like to. Oh, we lost him there for a second.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm sure they'll be
No
back
worries.
there. Yeah, we have a question for him too, Vinny.
Oh, do we? Fabulous.
Yep. So good stuff coming up on the spin. Thank you guys for hanging out on a Sunday evening. Hope everything's going well in your world. We are super excited to be still hanging out with Mr. Frank Sesich a little longer than usual, and we really appreciate your listenership and viewership. Also, want to remind you guys. Oh, there's our buddy. We don't have to remind you of anything. Rock and roll.
You're knocked the tripod over and the phone went out.
It's all
I
right.
had
It's all part of the gig. It's all part of
I
the
had to
gig.
grab the
Frank.
phone while it was going down, and I hit that leave button.
I'm really glad you're back, Frank, because from where I'm sitting, you are a very blessed man.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and
I've
it's
had-
well earned.
I've had a great
Absolutely.
life. I have great family, great wife, and I've had a good time running around this planet. So I want to do a couple more tours, especially the Blue Ash album, because I think it's the best thing we've ever done. I want to get that out, get all those videos. It'll be a nice legacy for the band, and I think people will really always did start discovering as soon as we put things out like the Not Lame 2 CD set and then the stuff from Spain. People really dig this. So I get, like I said, I get email and stuff from all over the world. I spend 3 hours a day just answering people that write to me and everything. But I have a great time with it, And if they're
Sure.
going to take the time to write to me and buy the records and everything, I'm glad to write back to them and talk to them.
Terrific. Speaking of mail, Greno.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had some questions for our guest.
Yeah, we have some interaction
Terrific.
with this is Dave Shermer. And
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Yeah, Dave's asking, didn't you just get a new Fender Deluxe Reaper?
Yes. Yep.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Wait till you hear it, Dave. Dave's a great guitar player. He plays in a band called Legends in central Pennsylvania.
Shout out to Dave from the Legend.
Dave, we appreciate your tuning in to The Spin with your buddy Frank and myself and Mr. Vinny. It's been so much fun. Wow, this is great stuff, Frank.
Sure. And Frank, maybe you were telling us earlier that, Jim is down the road. So as, things start heating up, I know you're going to be a busy man, but we'd love to have you and Jim on.
Oh, we'll do it for sure.
Progress. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as we get the Blue Ash stuff going, we'll do it for sure. He's a fun guy and you'll like him a lot. I just didn't want to throw him in. I was going to bring him to this one, ask him, but I didn't want to just throw it on him at the last minute. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to have you back, good buddy. You're one of our favorite guests, one of our most popular guests. And
oh, thanks.
Yeah, the story is great, and we just can't fill it in 30 or 40 minutes, much as we'd love to. There's so much more to the man. Buy the book.
Yeah, buy the book.
Right?
Evidence. Tune into the shows. Check out Blue Ash. There's a lot of reissues and rare stuff. You'll enjoy it. There's like 219 rare Blue Ash tapes floating around, and only about 80 of them have been released so far. So, there's going to be a definitive box set coming out of Australia too, from David Lang's label. He's negotiating with Peppermint Productions on all that stuff now. So I'll write some liner notes for that too. But you'll get to hear all the stuff that's really wild shit that's out of there. There were 219 tapes we found, and only about 44 of them hit the Not Lame Around Again thing, and about 8 more were added to the Spanish Hearts and Arrows. So there's still almost 150 tapes no one's ever heard. That's pretty wild.
Magnificent. Well, we love it.
Frank, we want to have you back whenever and wherever. So,
I'd love to. Anytime, guys.
One of the family, buddy.
Yeah, and Frank, I'm curious too. Will we see Blue Ash possibly live in Colorado and/or California?
I'm going to really work on it because we never played in either place, and I've always wanted to play in both places. So I'm sure we can work something out to do that. I want to do the West Coast for sure. And I want to go back to Europe again, Spain and the UK. So we'll do one great, big, nice tour, and it should be pretty cool. We had a blast. We went to Spain in the summer of 2016. It was unbelievable. The audiences were insane. They clapped for 2 minutes after every song, just clapping, sing along with all the Blue Ash songs. It really blew our minds. And we played on Spanish national radio. We were on the evening news on the outro, doing Deadbeat Poets stuff. So Deadbeat Poets, we do a Deadbeat Poet set, and bring Jim on and do the Blue Ash. So I'd have double duty on that tour. But we had a great time there. Played music festivals and stuff. So
great.
A lot of fans there.
Frank, the great stories never end with you. We appreciate you so much. And
thanks so much. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm glad it worked out good, except for Tucker hitting the tripod. But
it's all part of the story. Wouldn't be the same without that. So, yeah, absolutely, Frank. Thank you. Godspeed to you. Great luck in the future, and props on the health. We'll see you really soon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You bet.
Do you want to do an outro song for us? We can just
What do you want to hear? Any requests?
Ooh, there's too many in my mind.
How about
right
Have You Seen Her,
buddy?
Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Well, it's magic in the air. When she's here and when she's there. Now you see her, now you don't. What you do, you don't. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Such a magical lady. I'll let her climb my shoulder. Might be tragic, baby. getting older. She keeps getting older. Have you seen her? Have you seen her? Little bit of have you seen her?
Thank you so much, Frank. We'll see you guys next week on the Sunday Spin.
Okay, take care,
Frank.
guys.
Thank you so
God bless.
much, Frank.
Thank you,
Love
Frank.
guys. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.
Absolutely.